Let's start with geography chapter, rocks and inside our earth. In this chapter, I have read about rocks. So first of all, define rock. Now, what do you mean by rock? A natural mass of mineral matter that makes up the earth's crust. Natural mass of mineral matter that makes up the earth crust is called rock. So there are three types of rocks I have written. First is igneous rock. Then igneous rock are further divided into two parts, intrusive and extrusive. Intrusive and extrusive rock. Then sedimentary rocks. Then metamorphic rock. Again igneous rock. This is a rock cycle. Now let's start with igneous rock. When molten magma or lava cools down and becomes solid, igneous rocks are formed. So igneous rocks are of two types, intrusive and extrusive. Now listen, first of all, intrusive. In intrusive rocks, molten magma cools down inside the surface of the earth. Lava bahar nahi aata, it cools down inside the earth. And as lava cools down inside the earth, it takes lots of time. It is a very slow process. And बहुत slow cool होता है तो fine grains are formed. Fine grains are formed because lava cools down slowly. And so due to this, intrusive rock में हम कहेंगे लावा ज्यादा टाइम लेता है ठंडे होने में. So sorry, large grains are formed. कैसे grains बनते हैं? Large, because it takes lots of time. Large grains are formed, and example of intrusive rock is granite. Granite is an example of intrusive igneous rock. Learn it. किचन की जो शेल्फ या घर में आपके ग्रेनाइट पत्थर पड़ा होगा, ठीक है? Listen again. Igneous rocks, when lava cools down, becomes solid. Igneous rocks are formed. Igneous rocks are further divided into two parts, intrusive and extrusive. Intrusive rock में हम कहेंगे lava cools down inside the surface of the earth. It takes lot of time to cool down क्योंकि वो inside हुआ है. तो inside तो वैसे ही बहुत heat है, तो उसे time लगता है ठंडा होने में. So large grains are formed. And granite is an example of intrusive igneous rock. Next is extrusive igneous rock. When lava cools down outside the surface of the earth, when lava comes out and cools down outside the surface of the earth, so extrusive igneous rocks are formed. As lava cools down outside, so it cools down quickly. Inside मैंने बोला था it cools down slowly, but outside lava cools down quickly. So fine grains are formed. Here fine grains are formed. And example of extrusive igneous rock is basalt. Which is an example? Basalt. Very fine grained structure are, these rocks have very fine grained structure. And example is basalt and Deccan Plateau. Example is basalt and the rocks in Deccan Plateau. Deccan Plateau is made up of extrusive igneous rocks. Our Deccan Plateau is made up of extrusive igneous rocks. First of all, the igneous rocks, lava cools down, becomes solid. Igneous rocks are formed. Intrusive rocks तब बनती हैं जब lava cools down inside the surface of the earth, and it takes lots of time because lava cools inside the surface of the earth, and it takes lots of time. So large grains are formed here, and example is granite, extrusive. In this, lava comes out, cools down in outside the surface of the earth, and it takes less time to cool down. So fine grains are formed. These rocks have fine grained structure. And example is basalt. Deccan Plateau is made up of extrusive igneous rock. Example is basalt, and Deccan Plateau is made up of extrusive igneous rocks. Rocks are formed extrusive and intrusive. Now, due to weathering, rocks broken into small pieces. अब weathering होगी, and rocks टूट गई due to heat and pressure. ये rocks टूट गई, and sediments are formed. Sediments बन गए, छोटे छोटे pieces बन गए rocks के, sediments बन गए वहां पे. Sediments. अब sediments are carried by the agents of wind, water. Wind and water उन्हें ले गए. Sediments are carried, and where they deposited them, layers are formed. अब इस layers में fossil, dead remains of animals and plants are also found in these layers. So when these layers get collected, just जैसे ये layers collect होती जाएंगी, which rocks are formed? Sedimentary rocks are formed. Sedimentum word से बना ये word. Sedimentary rocks are formed. So next is igneous, is taken from Latin word ignis meaning fire. Sedimentary is also taken from Latin word sedimentum meaning settle down. And metamorphic is also taken from Greek word metamorphose meaning change of form. Means यहाँ पे पूरी form ही change हो जाएगी metamorphic में. Sedimentary sediment से बनी, rocks टूट गई छोटे छोटे pieces में. Sediments, they are carried by the agents of wind and water, where they deposited, layers की form में rocks बनना शुरू हो जाती हैं. And when these layers get collected, उन layers में क्या पाए जाते हैं? Fossil fuels, dead remains of plants and animals. When these layers get collected, which type of rocks are formed? Sedimentary rocks are formed. Is it clear? Sedimentary rocks, due to under heat and pressure, they are still under heat and pressure. They start melting. Sedimentary rocks are still under great heat and pressure, and they start melting. Melt होनी शुरू हो जाती हैं. And again molten magma formed. Again, when this molten magma cools down, again which rocks are formed? Igneous rocks are formed. In this way, ये एक rock cycle है. Rock cycle भी आप इसे कह सकते हो. Rock cycle means पहले तो sedimentary igneous rocks बनी, then sedimentary rocks again due to heat and pressure फिर melt हो गई, melt होके फिर क्या बन गया? Molten magma. अब magma ने क्या हो जाना है? Cools down होने से which rocks are formed? Again igneous rocks are formed. फिर वो बनेगी sedimentary. फिर कहाँ पे हम किसको हम कहेंगे चेंज ऑफ फॉर्म? किसकी फॉर्म ही चेंज हो गई? एंड मेटामॉर्फिक क्या आप बताओगे? क्ले चेंजेस इनटू स्लेट, क्ले चेंजेस इनटू स्लेट एंड लाइमस्टोन इनटू मार्बल, क्ले चेंजेस इनटू स्लेट, limestone changes into marble, clay changes into slate, limestone into, here example of sedimentary sandstone, metamorphic clay changes into, क्योंकि यहाँ पे मैं कह रही हूँ फॉर्म ही चेंज हो जानी है, क्ले किसमें कन्वर्ट हो गई, एंड नेक्स्ट मार्बल में, मार्बल किससे बन गया, लाइमस्टोन, लाइमस्टोन इनटू क्ले चेंजेस इनटू, मीन स्लेट किससे बनी, क्ले, एंड मार्बल लाइमस्टोन, तो लर्न इट। इग्नियस रॉक्स की एग्जांपल, ओ सॉरी इंट्रूसिव की एग्जांपल, ग्रेनाइट, एक्सट्रूसिव basalt, Deccan plateau is made up of which rocks, extrusive igneous rocks, lava cools down inside the surface, which type of rocks are formed, which type, intrusive or extrusive, intrusive, मैंने बोला cools down inside the surface of the earth, so which types of rocks are formed, lava cools down outside the surface of the earth, extrusive। अब मैं बोलूं these rocks have fine grained structure, इनमें से कौन सी रॉक, वेरी गुड, फाइन ग्रेन्ड स्ट्रक्चर। अब मैं बोलूं कि डेक्कन प्लेटू इज मेड अप ऑफ दीज रॉक्स, एक्सट्रूसिव। अब मैं आपको बोलूं फाइन ग्रेन्स आर फॉर्म्ड, फाइन ग्रेन्स, इंट्रूसिव। एग्जांपल इज ग्रेनाइट, एग्जांपल इज basalt is an example of, and next मैं बोलूं sandstone is an example of sedimentary। अब मैं बोलूं आपको limestone changes into marble, clay changes into slate, both are an example of metamorphic rock। Metamorphic rock again under heat and pressure start melting, दोबारा मेल्ट होनी शुरू हो गई। व्हाट इज फॉर्म्ड, मोल्टन मटेरियल, मैग्मा, मैग्मा बन गया, एंड अगेन मैग्मा कूल्स डाउन, जब मैग्मा ने फिर कूल्स डाउन होना है तो विच रॉक इज फॉर्म्ड, अगेन इग्नियस रॉक इज फॉर्म्ड। इन दिस वे दिस इज नोन एज रॉक साइकिल। अब अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं क्या रॉक्स यूजफुल हैं, यस, रॉक्स आर यूजफुल इन many ways। फॉर एग्जाम्पल पहले तो आप कहोगे गेम्स के लिए यूज किए जाते हैं, जैसे है ना स्पोर्ट्स आइटम्स में या गेम्स आप कह सकते हो, ठीक है। और आप क्या बताओगे, मिनरल्स, वेरी गुड, बिल्डिंग्स बनाने में, कंस्ट्रक्शन मटेरियल में काम आती हैं। फिर और क्या बताओगे आप, रॉक्स गिव्स अस वेरियस मिनरल्स, मिनरल्स हमें मिलते हैं रॉक से, ठीक है। यस, आप एग्जांपल दे सकते हो कि मॉन्यूमेंट्स या फिर आप बिल्डिंग्स बता सकते हो, सच एज आप किसकी एग्जांपल दे सकते हो, रेड सैंडस्टोन से क्या बना हुआ है, रेड सैंडस्टोन, रेड फोर्ट, एंड मार्बल से क्या बना हुआ है, ताजमहल, ताजमहल इज मेड अप ऑफ व्हाइट मार्बल। रेड सैंडस्टोन से क्या बना हुआ है, रेड फोर्ट, रेड फोर्ट इज मेड अप ऑफ रेड सैंडस्टोन। तो यू कैन गिव दीज एग्जांपल्स हियर, है ना। यूजेस ऑफ रॉक्स में आप बता सकते हो वेरियस मॉन्यूमेंट्स एंड various other buildings are built from these rocks। Rocks help in the construction material also। Rocks gives us various minerals। तो इस वजह से आप rocks वाला टॉपिक कर सकते हो। नेक्स्ट इज, अब जो आपका चैप्टर है जैसे यस, लिथोस्फीयर, हाइड्रोस्फीयर, बायोस्फीयर। Lithosphere means land part, lithosphere means land part, we live on land, and hydrosphere means water part, hydrosphere means water part, atmosphere it's a cover of air that surrounds the biosphere is a narrow zone where land, water and air come in contact with each other। Biosphere is the narrow zone where land, water, and air come in contact with each other. Next is, चलो अब आप बताओ, mushroom rocks are found in which areas? Near glaciers or in mountains or in deserts? Mushroom rocks are found in deserts. Mushroom rocks are found in sand dunes are found in desert. What are sand dunes? Small hills of sand are called sand dunes. Small hills of sand are called, and sand dunes are found in desert. अब आप बताओ, ozone layer is found in the which layer of atmosphere? Stratosphere. We live on troposphere. This layer, weather phenomena occurs in this layer. This layer is good for flying aeroplanes. Meteorites start burning when they enter from the space in this layer, mesosphere. This layer has very thin air, exosphere. It has satellites, thermosphere. Thermosphere is also known as ionosphere. This layer has satellite, thermosphere. This layer has ozone layer that protects us from the, no weather changes occur in this layer. It is cloudless layer. That's why it is good for flying aeroplanes now. That's why it is good for flying aeroplanes. Next is movement of air from high pressure area to low pressure area is called wind. Movement of air from high pressure area to low pressure area is called wind. Is of three types. Wind is of, first of all, permanent wind, then seasonal, and then local. Now, can you tell me, trade wind is an example of permanent wind. Now, east-lice and west-lice wind is an example of permanent wind. Lu is an example of local wind. Lu is an example of monsoon, is an example of seasonal wind. Now listen carefully. अब हम करते हैं permanent wind. In this, wind जो है ना, that moves in a particular direction throughout the year. इसमें direction change नहीं होती wind की. और यहाँ पे हम wind को उसकी direction से ही नाम देते हैं. For example, east से आ रही है तो east-lice wind, west से आ रही है तो हम कहते हैं west-lice wind. Next में हम कहते हैं seasonal wind. In this, wind changes direction in a particular season. और यहाँ पे हम कहेंगे monsoon wind. Monsoon wind is an example. अब wind that blow in particular area in a particular period, that is known as local wind. For example, Lu blows in northern plains in summer season, and Lu आपको ना तो mountains में मिलेगी, ना ही आप, अगर आप उधर जाते हो सॉरी साउथ इंडिया की तरफ, तब भी नहीं. आपको लू किधर मिलेगी? इन नॉर्दर्न प्लेन्स, नॉर्दर्न पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया. नॉर्दर्न प्लेन्स में आपको लू मिलेगी. इट मीन्स इट इज अ लोकल विंड. इट ब्लोज इन अ पर्टिकुलर एरिया in a particular period, and that is called local wind. Wind always air always moves from high pressure area to low pressure area. What is temperature? Degree of hotness and coldness of the air is known as degree of hotness and coldness of the air is known as temperature. Degree of hotness and coldness of the air is known as weather. Weather is the condition of atmosphere that changes from day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute. फॉर एग्जाम्पल हम कहेंगे बिफोर 1 hour देयर वाज, आप कह सकते हो सनी, देयर वाज, आप कह सकते हो कि सनी डे था, बट नाउ देयर इज रेनी। तो आप कह सकते हो टुडे इज रेनी डे, टुमारो में भी सनी डे। तो वेदर चेंजेस फ्रॉम डे टू डे, minute to minute, hour to hour and minute to minute. Climate is the average weather condition that remains same for long period of time. Sometimes near about 30 to 35 years it remains same. Climate of Greenland is cold, and in India we have monsoon type of, degree of hotness and coldness of the air is called. Temperature here always move from high pressure area to low pressure area. Rhythmic rise and fall of ocean water in a day is called, twice in a day is called. Rhythmic rise and fall of ocean water twice a day is called. Tide कितने तरह के होते हैं? 2. There are 2 types of tide. High tide and low tide. High tide is also known as spring tide. Low tide is also known as neap tide. Rhythmic rise and fall of ocean water twice a day is called. They are of 2 types, high tide and low tide. High tide के example and low tide के example, neap tide, NEAP. Next, ocean currents. Stream of water flowing constantly on ocean surface in definite direction is known as ocean current. They are of 2 types, warm ocean current, cold ocean current. Labrador is an example of which ocean current? Cold ocean current. Gulf Stream is an example of warm ocean current. जब दोनों करंट मीट करते हैं तो दे आर नॉट गुड फॉर नेविगेशन बिकॉज दे क्रिएट foggy weather. जब दोनों ओशन मीट करते हैं, वार्म एंड कोल्ड करंट मीट करते हैं, तो दैट इज गुड फॉर फिशिंग, बट नॉट गुड फॉर नेविगेशन. तो इस वे से आप बता सकते हो ना, ये लेब्रेडर इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ, एंड गल्फ स्ट्रीम इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ. नीप टाइड इज आल्सो नोन एज low tide. Spring tide is also known as rhythmic rise and fall of ocean water twice a day is called. Here always moves from high pressure area to low pressure area. अब एक मिनट, basalt is an example of basalt. Deccan plateaus are made up of dash rocks. Which rock? Extrusive or intrusive? किसमें fine grained structure are formed? Extrusive. किसमें हम कहेंगे कि lava takes time to cool down? Granite is an example of. Sandstone is an example of. Clay changes into, oh sorry, good, पहले ही बोल दिया. Next is limestone into, that is an example of metamorphic. किसका मतलब है change of form? Metamorphic. किसका meaning है change of form? Metamorphic. Taken from which word? Greek word. Taken from Greek word metamorphose, meaning change of form. Ignis is taken from Latin word ignis, meaning fire. Sedimentary is taken from Latin word sedimentum, meaning settle down, meaning क्योंकि उसमें लेयर्स सेडिमेंट्स जो है ना वो कलेक्ट होते हैं, लेयर्स में कलेक्ट होते जाते हैं, सेटल डाउन होते हैं, एंड देन आफ्टर सेटलिंग क्या बन जाती है? सेडिमेंट्री रॉक्स क्या बनती है? विच रॉक?